Hello, Peter.
What is up, Comic Comrades? We've all been patiently waiting, more so than most, for the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and Marvel and Sony didn't disappoint. In this video, I'm going to show you a bunch of Easter eggs and everything you missed in the No Way Home teaser trailer. I've got a mind-blowing theory for you today, something that just might redefine how you see Spider-Man. So don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Starting at the beginning, we see MJ and Peter on a rooftop in what appears to be New York City. MJ is holding a newspaper with a headline, Peter Parker and the Spider Minions, with a picture of Spider-Man with Peter's head photoshopped on it while his hands are attached to what seems to be puppet strings, attached to cartoon girls. This reinforces MJ's remark about the newspaper stating that Spider-Man can hypnotize females. Peter doesn't seem to be in on the joke and tells her to stop. She laughs and calls him my Spider-Lord, similar to when Quill's mom in Guardians of the Galaxy referred to Quill as Star-Lord. We can tell that tensions are high and that Peter is under a lot of stress from his identity being revealed. The next scene shows Peter and MJ swinging. In the background, we hear my man J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson saying Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Now, what I want you to pay attention to is the clothes and outfit of both Peter and MJ. As you can see, she's wearing a different outfit than she wore on the rooftop. She seems to be wearing the same clothes as she wore at the ending of Far From Home, which makes me think that this particular web-slinging scene is a continuation of the Far From Home ending, rather than next after the rooftop scene. Later in the trailer, we see MJ and Peter surrounded by helicopters, showing that Peter at one point will be hunted by the police. We know this because we saw the half-and-half photo of Peter and Spider-Man with the bold stamp of Public Enemy #1. Next, we see him in a police station, clearly showing that Peter has been arrested. And this is further established when we see one of his hands handcuffed, as he says, "Listen, I did not kill Mysterio, the drones did." The officers are not having it, and it looks like they're making him go through more files and directing more allegations at him. You can tell by the surprise on his face. There's a scene of a big building, and my guess is it's a government facility, which reminds me of the Civil War story in the comics, where Peter reveals his identity to the world, and he had to hide in a motel with Aunt May and MJ. It's important to note that Peter leaves the police station, or at least he's no longer in the police station, which makes you wonder how he made the bail. He must have had a very good lawyer. Now, in the comics, two people are most likely to have made that possible. Matthew Murdock, aka Daredevil, and Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk. Charlie Cox has already been speculated to show up, so it might be him. Next is MJ and Peter on video chat, and she's trying to make him see the bright side of his identity being revealed. Then we see a shot of Peter, Ned, MJ, and what appears to be a blonde Flash Thompson behind MJ. If you remember, he idolizes Spider-Man.
What? He's just awesome, okay? He protects the neighborhood and, he's inspiring. He inspires me to be a better man.
So no surprise that he'll give his support. They all seem to be walking past an angry mob. There's even a mock protest sign of Peter with devil horns in the background, and there's a caption, Devil in Disguise. Now don't go screaming Mephisto. It's important to note that a majority of people have turned on Peter, and everyone seems to be treating him like a criminal. Another thing that you should note is the clothes that MJ's wearing. She appears to be wearing the same outfit as the one from the rooftop, which makes me think that this is the continuation of that rooftop scene. Next, we see a quick flick of Peter at his school, and everyone has their phones out making a video. Then we see him and his Aunt May sitting in their living room, and they look like they're shocked about something or someone. In the background of that slide, we see blinking lights that are clearly from the police. My guess is Peter gets arrested more than once in this movie, and it does take a toll on his friends and family. This is clear because we see slides of Ned and Aunt being interrogated, and then we see Peter looking up at what appears to be a decoration of wizard heads, highlighting where he got the idea to go see Doctor Strange. We see the sanctum doors open to reveal a snow-covered sanctum, even though it's bright and sunny on the outside. On the side, we see someone shoveling snow. Seeing that this is camouflage after all, it's not anyone that's allowed to come into the sanctum. I suspect that the person shoveling snow is probably an apprentice in the New York sanctum, and perhaps that person tried a spell that went wrong and resulted in the snow-covered sanctum. So as a punishment, he's forced to clean the mess by hand and not by magic. Strange has taken apprentices in the comics before. If I recall correctly, they were all girls, most notably a girl known as Casey Kinmount. But this was a guy shoveling snow. This makes me suspect that it's the same Casey, but Marvel had switched the gender. Strange tells Peter not to refer to him as Sir, and Peter calls him Stephen. In reply, Strange says, rather comically, "That feels weird, but I'll allow it." And I know that's going to inspire a lot of memes on the internet later on, and you know what? I'll allow it. This scene also highlights the relationship Peter is going to have with Strange, just like he had a relationship with Tony Stark in Homecoming. and Fury and Beck in Far From Home. We see Peter in a gold and black suit. He takes his mask off and he seems to be confused as to where he is. Also, note that there's a guy behind the counter, and he's pointing in a particular direction for Peter. Now, taking a good look at the scene and contrasting it with what we've seen so far in the trailer, I suspect that this is an alternate timeline. Why? Because everyone in the scene looks shocked to see Peter rather than angry, as in the earlier scene. And remember, it seems like everyone hated Peter in the beginning. But here, we're seeing someone helping him and pointing out a direction for him. My guess is that this is an alternate timeline, and he's going to seek help from another Spider-Man. Most likely Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Next, we see Peter asking Strange for help. The scene changes to Strange doing a levitating meditation in his wizard attire. And on top of the wizard attire, what do we see? The Eye of Agamotto. The real question is, has Strange found a way to get back the Time Stone? Or is it just a fashion statement? Let me know what you think in the comments below. After that, we see Wong telling him not to cast a particular spell because of how dangerous it might be. Wong is next to a portal and he seems to be going somewhere. I believe that he's probably going to face the Abomination in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Strange agrees not to cast the spell, and when Wong leaves, he winks at Peter as they proceed to cast the spell. Strange and Peter descend into some sort of catacomb, and we see Strange working his magic and letting Peter know the consequences of him casting the spell. This is a clear adaptation of the One More Day comics when Peter seeks Doctor Strange's help after the death of Aunt May. Peter's distraught with the idea of everyone not knowing he's Spider-Man, including his aunt, Ned, and MJ. Strange tells him not to mess with the spell, and then we see the catacomb disintegrating like it's under the effect of the Power Stone. Next, we see a box in the middle of Strange and Peter, and it seems like all the magic is flowing into the box. Then there's a lot of bright lights, similar to the lights we see at the last episode of Loki. You know, with him at the Citadel of Time and the whole multiverse mayhem. My theory is the branching that happened in Loki had an effect on the outcome of the spell, and it produced a gateway between worlds that allowed people from other timelines to walk through, bringing a lot of familiar names which I will get into in a second. But just know that that box I mentioned earlier is the key to all of this. I guess that Strange uses the box as some sort of safety mechanism when he sees what the after effects of his spell unleashes. Maybe he trapped the villains in the box in some way. I think one of the villains might have kidnapped Aunt May or maybe Happy. I know this because we don't see a lot of them in the trailer. I think Peter needs the box to free them, but Strange won't hand it over. My guess is Strange and Peter get into some sort of disagreement at one point, and they go into a brawl. We see that in this next scene as Peter seems to be running in the mirror dimension, and Doctor Strange chasing him with the cool Inception-like effect from Doctor Strange 1, both in the city and on the train. This ties into the One More Day arc, where Peter is willing to do anything for his loved ones despite the consequences. We also see Doctor Strange cast out Peter's astral form, just like the Ancient One did to the Hulk in Endgame, and we see him holding the box in one hand. We also see Happy being approached by some people, and we see the terrified look on his face. This should further reinforce that he's going to need saving. With regards to the villains, we saw lightning and intense fog, which tells me that Electro is coming. And as you know, Jamie Foxx as Electro has already been confirmed to make an appearance. In the trailer, we see Peter being frightened by something that looks a lot like the lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man. We see lightning and sand, which shows us the Sandman as well as Electro is going to be showing up. We see a pumpkin bomb roll to the floor. Highlights William Dafoe being back as the Green Goblin. He has been talking about how he's in the movie and how he's going to form the Sinister Six. As a bonus, we see Peter talking to a woman that appears to be a Latino. I honestly believe her to be the mother of Miles Morales. This could be a great way to bring Miles into the fold. And finally, we see Alfred Molina's Doc Ock showing up, delivering the immortal line.
Hello, Peter.
We've seen a lot of familiar faces, and I know that if all of these villains are coming to this movie, then the other Spider-Man should show up too. Don't know why Marvel is being so secretive about it. Just show us already and put our minds at ease. I just can't wait to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. In the end, we've come a long way from the little kid that we met in Captain America: Civil War. Marvel and Sony have confirmed that this movie is going to be the Endgame equivalent for Spider-Man, and my spider sense is tingling for what's coming. Let me know what you think about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe because we have more videos delving deep into the Spider-Verse coming out very soon, and you don't want to miss it. Till then, peace out!